For reals, it took a little bit. Welcome, Business Geeks, to another Business Geeks podcast. I am your host, Super Joe Pardo, and I have two wonderful co-hosts here. I got Jennifer Crawford from Sparent.co, as well as Samantha Riley from SamanthaRiley.global. It was talking in my ear. We're using different new tech today, and so it's New Tech Thursday, because that's a thing. And it's just a little tricky getting us up and running here. I know Eric Hunley is joining us today. He sent us a super chat over on YouTube, which is awesome to see. He was curious as to how that end of it worked. It looks like if I can click on it from there, but it doesn't seem like it's like highlighted in well, actually it is highlighted on my screen. It's green.
Bright green.
Yeah, it stands out. But if you have chat that's just like poop, 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 like scrolling by. We also have Otto in the house. What is going on? Thank you so much for joining us. Jennifer, how are you doing today?
Hunky dory.
Hunky dory.
Doing great. On Thursdays when I get to this point, it's nice. It's a nice way to wrap up the day. It was a crazy, nutty, busy day, but a good one. So yeah, I can't complain. Thank you for asking.
You are so welcome. And yeah, it is fun to be here on a Thursday. Now, we weren't here last week on Thursday, so we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, I got to ask Sam, how is things down under in Australia?
Things are fantastic in the future. Friday is rocking already.
Awesome. So glad to hear that. And here in good old Philadelphia, things are moving right along. Since we last did our show, so I think when we last did our show, I had two people that had passed away on me, and I've added a third. Things come in threes, and I might have said that at the time that, like, I don't know who the third's going to be, and then we found out who the third was going to be. It's Bill Neely, who was our manager at our repair shop, and huge deal, huge loss, and very much a big reason why, one of the reasons why I chose to come back to work at my family's business back in 2018, because of him. I didn't really know him too well prior to that. I got to know him really well over those couple of years of working with him, and it is very, very much, it was a huge blow. It's on top of the previous two losses in that family, that end of the family, for me, and I know it was very hard on my dad as well. He was, like another dad to my dad, as well as like a grandfather figure to me. So yeah, super gonna miss him, and I always enjoyed our conversations.
Well, I'm so sorry for your loss, Joe. I think I'm speaking for everybody here. And rest in peace, Mr. Neely. You sound amazing.
Yeah, totally.
He was. He very much a well, he wouldn't say a semi-charm kind of life, but I would say in a lot of ways he lived it was a way of living life that he brought to the table. So So this week I thought it would be fun for us to talk about a topic that is kind of near and dear to all three of us, being that all three of us kind of run coaching, do run coaching businesses, as Jennifer being the kind of part, right?
Not really.
Oh, geez.
Hang on, Jen, can I just say, I think that any business owner that's working with people is a coach, because you're always coaching and leading and helping people. So yeah, I do think, like, whilst you don't have a coaching business, you would be coaching all day, every day.
I get that.
You get that. Okay. Good. Oh, wow. Just playing with the movements. So yeah, I would say, well, because when you take on a new client, right, you go through you coach them in order to enable them to be able to utilize your service Sparent, right? And
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just words. I don't know if there's a difference between consulting and coaching. Like, consulting tends to be like just the words we use in, internally when we guide a client through that process. But I think it's just, verbiage, just different verbiage, maybe for the same thing.
I would tend to agree. And when I'm saying coaching, I mean consulting, coaching, going outside of your bubble of people to go and get somebody to help, right? And that might be on a consulting basis. It might be on a one-on-one coaching basis. Could be in a group or anything like that. But I thought it would be cool to talk about what why it's important to get a coach, and then when is the right time to seek out that coach or consultant, and then when or who and how to go pick that right person, right? How to go pick the right who for you, your business, your needs, your language, your understanding, and your industry. So, Sam, would you like to
a great conversation? Yeah, sure. So I think first you need to look at the symptoms that's happening, like what's happening that you would like a better result for. And this is, I think, the piece that a lot of people get wrong. They have a roadblock and they're like, I need to get a coach. And they may put up, they may ask friends, like, who's a good coach? Or they may put up a Facebook post. I see it all the time. What coach do you recommend? Rather than actually starting and looking, well, what specifically do I need the help with? And I know that we're specifically talking about business here, but I've got coaches in, I've got a personal trainer, so she's my coach in health, and I've got a coach that helps me with our investments, and I've got coaches in different areas as well as a business coach, and so where to start? That was the original question. Where to start is to look at what are the symptoms that you're experiencing that you would like to have a different result for. Would you guys agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because look, doing the same thing over and over is the definition of, and not getting the results you want is the definition of insanity, right? And that's when it's the question comes up, like, when is it time to do something different, to get different results? Because what you're doing might be working, right? And I think that's always one of the biggest hurdles. It comes down to like the ego part of like, hey, we're doing $1 million, and $1 million is awesome, it's great, but like, what's the next level, right? Where's the spot? I'm breaking up family.
Yeah, we need a check.
You sound like a robot. I can hear every third word.
Oh no, that's terrible to hear. I've had a lot of issues with my internet over the last week and a half. Comcast has been here a lot. You probably didn't hear like much of that.
Okay, well let's talk,
Jen.
Let's go over a little bit here, Samantha. I think, Sam, that was great advice that you gave, like looking at like what goal do you want to accomplish and narrowing it down. But what about looking at the credentials? Because I'll be honest, I've known some life coaches that are couch surfing, not by choice. So I think it is important to, do your due diligence. And I'm not even saying they need to have like official coaching credentials, because I've also known really good coaches without any official credentials. But I think you need to look at people's backgrounds, their experience, like have they done what you're trying to do and been successful at it? Or are they just talking the talk kind of thing? Because they're, Sam, you're like a very extremely credible coach, but you have to admit there are a lot of coaches out there that don't necessarily deserve the title.
100%. And I think that is a lot because in the last few years, people have left their jobs and they want to work for themselves. And what they've done is looked to their coach and almost modeled what their coach is doing. Like, this is what I learned, so I'm just going to teach the same thing rather than actually getting the results. And I just want to touch on credentials, because I think that the credentials that we're looking for are that coach's clients getting results? And I think that's the credentials to look for. Because a lot of people will talk about Has that coach achieved the results? I'm still not of the opinion that that's the right metric.
Okay.
So when I go back to being a dance teacher, I was a really good dance teacher. My students won a lot of awards, but I was never a professional dancer. I never made it professional dancer. Oi. I wasn't good enough to be a professional dancer, but I could still teach really well. So I don't think necessarily the coach needs to have achieved the results, but their clients must be achieving the results.
Okay, very good point. Very good point from Sam. So appreciate that. Welcome back, Joe.
Welcome back, Joe.
Wait, so
we held the fort for you.
Hold on, time out. So you two were talking the whole time, like nothing happened.
Of course, we barely noticed you left. I'm just kidding.
Oh, well, that's okay. I can accept that. But okay, because on my side, it looks like when I left, when my internet just like went out, and I came back in, it looked like you guys weren't in the chat, like on the stream anymore.
Oh, you know what? I didn't pay attention to whether
that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if
I would love to
all
hear it
of
in the
our
chat.
amazing conversation just was captured then, because it was gold.
It's local recording, so it should. We'll see. And maybe Leon from yourpodcastconcierge.com will have some fun playing with that. I'm not sure. I was saying my internet has been on the blink for like a week. I've had Comcast out here. They're like, well, like we know about it. It's in your neighborhood, but we're not really sure what's causing it. And I'm like, cool, but like I'm the guy that's going to notice. Like most people wouldn't notice. Like, ooh, the webpage didn't load. Let me just refresh a couple times. But like when we're doing live streams, the internet has to work, right? And that's kind of a problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm sorry I missed all that wonderful conversation. Something about trainers, and I don't know. Like,
we were talking about credentials. Jen answered.
Oh, I did hear. Okay, I did hear about that part. Yeah, I think there was people a lot of people like couch surfing or something to that effect.
I was just playing around with like there are some coaches that might not have earned the title of coach, and then there are some really amazing coaches like both of you that get results, have their clients, outcomes, you're focused on their outcomes from day one. So there's so many coaches out there that I think, since the topic is like how do you find a coach, how do you go about looking, I think the first thing is you've got to realize that there are a lot to choose from, and you've got to narrow down those choices and be very careful where you invest your time and your money.
Yeah. Okay, so I feel like we need to move this when we put Nate like comments down below.
It's very big, isn't it?
It is, and I can change the colors and stuff, but yeah, it doesn't move our heads out of the way. Just like we're Mike Wazowskiing it for anybody who catches the reference. Yeah,
I did not catch that.
Oh, like in the movie.
No, neither did Jen.
In the movies Monsters Inc., Mike Wazowski's like, I'm in the commercial, but they like put the logo over his face. Like at the end, like it's always, there's always something covering his face, so you just see like the two arms and legs, and then like the logo right over his face. But anyway, yeah. So discerning when is the right time to go and find that coach, right? That consultant for your business and for you. When would you say is the time to put the ego aside? And I was saying, when I was getting all kinds of like cut up and stuff, but like what I was saying earlier was to the effect of, it's like, oh, we're doing $1 million. Like, we're doing amazing. And it's like, well, yeah, but like you're not even tapping necessarily, the full potential. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So where's that next growth? And do you have that answer? And if you don't have that answer, is that the right time to start looking? Or in my opinion, it would be before you necessarily get there, right? Because as the CEO, as the captain of the ship, you are the one that's supposed to be able to see, into the future, like Samantha lives in the future down in Australia. What's the next day? What's the next week look like? 10 weeks look like? What's the next, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years look like? And how are you going to grow into being able to always be in a growth mode, or at least mostly growth mode, right? Or because you run into issues where like the landscape changes, right? What's acceptable on the in the industry, or what's hot in the industry starts to cool off, and it's like, okay, well, what's that next thing, right? That's why we go to like trade shows and industry shows and read industry magazines when that was a thing, industry blogs and all that.
Totally. So for me, when I had my first business coach, we had grown the business, and it was like there was this invisible ceiling and we just couldn't push through it. And I remember saying to my business partner at the time, like, we don't know what we don't know. I don't know how to get through to this next level. I think we need to speak to someone to help us to see what we can't see right now, because we've reached the end of our knowledge for where we're at right now. And when I think about, and I've had a business coach consistently for probably 15 years now, not the same one, I've had different coaches. And I'm just thinking, I just hired a new coach only about 8 weeks ago, and it was the same thing. It's like, okay, I've reached a ceiling. I don't quite know how to get, like, I've got some ideas, but I don't quite know how to get to that next level. So then I had to find someone who can help me get to that next level. So for me, I haven't looked before I needed it. I always have had a symptom and then gone and looked. But I'd love to know for you, Jen and Joe, like, if that's the same for you.
Yeah, I think you made a great point. It's kind of like when you're stuck and you can't move forward without some sort of guidance, right? Like you said, you've tapped out of your knowledge, your skills, your expertise. And unless you do something and get somebody else involved that knows more than you do, you're going to stay at that point. So I think part of that is just being stuck, recognizing that you're stuck, but also being willing to take action, because coaching is not just somebody listening to your problems, right? You actually have to be accountable to change. And I think for poor coaches, that's probably the most frustrating part for them, is when their clients don't take action. So yeah, that's I think I'm pretty much answering it just like you did. So we agree again. I love it.
We always agree, Jen. We mostly agree. But Joe, you actually brought up a really good point that I'd love you to speak into, because, well, are you surprised that I actually said you've got a good point? Oh, come on. I say you have good points all the time. And that's that a lot of people don't reach out to a coach because of their ego. Yeah. Because it can be it's quite vulnerable going and working with a coach. When you really, you've got to tell the truth. Otherwise, you're not going to get the most out of that coach. And sometimes you have to share things that you're like, oh, I don't want to talk about this. But that's exactly what you need to talk about, right? So for you, Joe, how have you got around that ego piece? Like, obviously, some people don't.
I think it's coming across as being that listener, right? I think it starts with listening and being able to communicate and having people. For me, it's like podcasting, and now YouTube, and just getting people to feel comfortable with you before they ever like pick up the phone, even if they're not necessarily, say, ready to move on being a client or able to afford it, or even necessarily know what that symptom is at the time. Because like sometimes we like, oh, I really want to work with this person, but and I actually had this happen not that long ago, a couple weeks ago, where they were like, we love what you do, we really, thought-provoking questions on YouTube and all that led us to like pick up the proverbial phone. Really, they sent an email and ask that, like, hey, how can we work together? What can we do? So in that case, it's a little different than having like the I provide X solution for the thing, because they were like looking for the problem to for me to provide a solution for. So we actually had to work together to figure out like, well, okay, here's like the two diverging paths that we could work on. And we could either do them at the same time or separately, but depending on your budget and the amount of time that you have, it might not be a good fit. So let's focus in on one of the two, and then they decide on which of the two to go with. So then we were able to move forward and like actually start an actual conversation about what does that look like, what does that cost, and all of that. So to me, I think being able to get your messaging across to people, even when they're not necessarily in that way. I was just talking with who was it? In my business mastermind, we were talking about how people don't necessarily see themselves as quote unquote small business owners, even though they like literally are. And here in America, that's like makes up 80% of the all business in general. And it kind of is a problem, even though companies like Visa and American Express constantly are hammering home the idea of small business owner, small business owner, small business owner. And it's like, but I'm not a small business owner. I'm a hairstyle, I own my little hair salon, or
Oh, really?
I own my own bakery, or I own, like it's all about that super niche of understanding like that particular industry in some ways, so that you can, obviously for avatar hitting it really helps if that's the case. But when you're talking to small business, it's still kind of hard, because there's a lot of, I don't want to say stigma, but like even people that see themselves as entrepreneurs don't see themselves as small business owners, and people that do see themselves as small business owners don't necessarily see themselves as entrepreneurs. And it's like can be different language to reach that audience. And breaking down the ego, to me, it's really just getting people as comfortable as possible with how you talk and how you work with people, and then still having that problem of like, when it actually comes time to make those changes, right? Because they're like, I like talking with you. It's awesome. It's great. Like, let's have that great conversation. But when it comes to actually facing my real problems, like the actual real people that are involved with these issues, that's where, having the right coach that's been there and done those things, specifically those things, and had those difficult conversations is super, super important.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really important to go find a coach that helps with the specific problem that you have.
I would agree. I would definitely agree there. So yeah, I think just getting people comfortable with how you talk, how you do things, being as real. From a coach's standpoint, being as real as possible is probably the best. That's the same with any business though, right? That's why we do the marketing, right? Marketing is what you tell people. Branding is what they think of you. So, it really, it's like, how do you get people to feel comfortable with the brand? Trust, right? And build that relationship. And that relationship might not be a two-way relationship, even though you want them to feel like it's a two-way relationship. So it's like that, but in this case, it's a lot more one-on-one, like person to person, kind of things that you need to look for. And I think it's also important that they self-identify to a point, even if it's like not you. Like they don't necessarily self-identify with like, oh, this specific type of person, physically, but like the mental, the thought process, how they mannerisms, like things that people don't even, it's all subconsciously processing in their mind. Yeah. Being able to self-identify there can make all the world of difference. And it's why even like sports, we see coaches fail at one team, go to another team, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, they might have walked into a pretty good situation, but like even good situations can go really, really wrong if you're not putting the right messaging and things together.
Well, you make a good point. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the relationships. Well, I was just going to say the relationships need to be aligned. But yeah. Jen, I think that's where you were going.
Yeah, it just reminds me when I like Sam, I also work with a personal trainer. I've had the same one for a while. But my first personal trainer was a delightful woman, knew her stuff. But when she trained me, it was all girl talk all the time. And as much as I enjoyed our conversations, I realized that I was barely breaking a sweat in the hour that I was spending with her. So, I had to leave that relationship. And then the next time when I went to the gym, looking at who they had available, I said, I don't want a friendly trainer. I want the grumpiest, quietest, like hard ass trainer that you can give me, because I have enough friends and I'm used to working out. And that's exactly what they did. And I got the perfect, he's not chatty, and he works you every minute that you're with him. And now, he's been my trainer for a number of years. Of course, we're friendly, and, it's, I like him, he likes me, but it was, like you said, you've got to find a right fit on a number of levels.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you have a very close relationship with your coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would even say the consultant, right? Unless they are just coming there to just do training, right? For like one-on-many training, there's still all businesses relationship, right? So you really still have to be able to work that end of it. But when you're talking about like one-on-one, it really comes down to relationship.
Totally.
Well, for you too, right? Or for the coaches too, right? Like, you have to make sure it's a good fit for you. Like, it goes both ways, because you don't want to work with somebody that you don't feel is ready to be coached, or might not be receptive to and take action, because really the hard work, they still have to do a lot of hard work, based on your guidance. But if they're not going to do the work, then, or if you don't think they're going to do the work, they might not be a great client, because they're not going to represent results for you.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say like if you were going to go and search out somebody that is, because it's like, hey, we found the symptom, right, of a problem, or we recognize that there is a problem that we actually need to address, and we're lucky enough to actually know what the problem is and not the symptom of the problem. How do we go about finding that right person? Sam, you wanna start with that?
Well, I can only speak for me, right? For me, I know what my symptoms are, so I find my coaches on social media, because I watch them. I watch the content they're putting out. I join their mail list. I'm reading what they're talking about. I'm listening to what they're talking about. I'm having a look at what their clients' results are, and just matching up. Do I vibe with this person? Is this person right? So, I actually don't find a coach by Googling. For me, I would normally just find them on social media through other people that mention people. And then, I'll go and watch them for a while, and that's how I do it. It's I decided to stop.
Okay.
There.
We'll stop.
And stop.
So I would. All right. So I'll add to that. I would say the other way to go about doing it is looking at articles that are published, on those on different platforms like the entrepreneur.com and things of that nature. I mean, a lot of that is paid for, buddy, blah, 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 backdoor kind of things. But it opens your eyes to like what else is out there. And if because Googling actually can be kind of hard to find this unless you're looking in a specific area of personnel, or like a specific problem that you're trying to solve, or in a specific area in which you live. It can be really hard to find anything that's meaningful when you're looking for a specific kind of coach, and one that's maybe in your price range as well, because we can all find the $100,000 an hour coach or consultant, but can we find the one that actually does what we want, specific to what we actually need, and doesn't cost us like our entire business to get it?
Well, on that, can I just say that when you're looking for a coach, that amount should be an investment, not a cost. So as long as you're getting a return on that investment, the cost is actually irrelevant. So I think that's quite dangerous to look just on a cost, because, if you could, if you put in $100 and you get out $200, then that's great. If you put in 100,000 and you get out 200,000, then that's even better, right? So the cost is actually irrelevant as long as you're getting a return on your investment.
All right, so I don't disagree, but we all have budgets that we work within, and that's where, when I say cost, that's what I'm referring to. So yes, it is an investment, as everything that you buy a book. That's an investment, right? The investment of the time, the money, and hopefully you get something out of said book. You get something out of something, a course, training, seminar, whatever it is that you're going to. Watching this show right now, like you're getting something out of it, right? So there is a quote unquote cost. It's an investment at the same. The amount of money that you're budgeted to be able to spend. Yeah, everyone would love to be able to spend $100,000 and get 200,000 out. That's awesome. But, you literally might not have $100,000 to be, at least all at once, or however it's structured, to be able to even responsibly do that, right? So,
yeah. But let me this is something that's happened just recently. I had a client that had been working with me for a while. She wanted to go work with someone else because it was cheaper. No issue at all. I don't have a problem with that at all. That person has recently come back and said, it was cheaper, but I've had 0 results. Can I come back? So that's why I wanted to really really show that you need to know it's not, whilst it's got to be in your budget, and I get that, do not make your decisions on cost.
And you know what? And I totally agree. I mean, it really comes down to okay, so I could work with the budget person for $1,000, or I could spend $900 more, which is a lot of money, but there's a big difference between $900 more and $20,000 or $30,000 more, right? And that's where it's am I actually going to get what I paid for? Because I actually had a similar story with that, where someone that I work with said I'm also working, or I was also working with this other person, and they never showed up to the masterminds. Or if they did, they were always super late. They were super underprepared. They didn't have anything to really add at all. And ultimately, I feel like I just threw away 6 months of money and time in this person who I thought was a valuable person. So I think that brings up a great point in and of itself of, is the person that you're hiring, the consultant, the coach, are they showing up, right? I mean, look, not everyone's going to be on every social media platform, 24/7, but have they at least proven that on, say, one social media platform? They don't have to be on every single one, but have they proven on one platform, or even just our website, consistently adding articles that, mind you, if you take a paragraph and Google that paragraph, you don't find on a ton of other sites, because they paid somebody, to write an article, quote unquote, for them. It's one of those things where it's oh yeah, it's easy to fake it if you just pay somebody to write, nonsense articles, and just basically stealing other people's stuff and putting it on your site, or even social media for that matter. So do your due diligence and find out. Don't just base it off of, well, they're writing all these articles. Google it. Let me Google that for you.
Absolutely. That's why I think I've just done 10 mic takeovers on my podcast, and the people that we've had on, they haven't submitted their questions to me, so I've answered them all on the fly. And I wanted that specifically because I want my audience to know what the amount of knowledge that I have in my head is. So that's the way that I've got around that, because every day I'm getting these mic takeovers that ask me questions, and I have to think on the spot. I think it's really great.
That's impressive.
And that's one of the reasons why we do the show the way we do now, right? Neither of you knew what we were going to talk about literally before. We have a couple of articles. There's a question here from Daniel Vega that we're going to get to in a second. I didn't want to pull it up until we were ready to answer. But that's one of those things that, why I choose to do my show, my Shark Tank reaction show, in real time with everything, because I want people to see I'm actually problem solving. I'm actually writing the notes right here in my book, right? It's all happening in real time. And yeah, I don't always get the math right. Well, I'm not a human calculator.
No, because we're human.
My grandfather was. I am not. I didn't get that gene. So, I can't even write a phone number down, honestly, without making you stop to repeat the numbers like 3 or 4 times as I go through writing, because I can't think and write and process at the same time like that. It just my brain doesn't work that way. Right. But understanding that I have limitations and I'm confident with those limitations to be able to do it, and then put myself in a position where we're coming up with, answers and potential solutions and potential problems and all that processing. And I think that to me is more powerful than creating something that's a highlight reel of what I could potentially do. Right. That's me. And that's how I view it.
Yeah,
totally. Well, I think that probably, like you said earlier, helps earn that trust from people that have never met you in person, because they are seeing this authentic experience, playing out in front of them. You can't fake it. It is what it is. So, that's not a bad approach at all, Joe. I like it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And Tim, it's good to see you in the chat. Smart businesses invest in their employees' success in order to get loyalty and avoid turnover. So I'm still trying to figure out where to put the logo in the corner here. So yeah, absolutely. We did that, a ton of that at back in the Pardo Truck Parts days, and even now in the Pardo Fleet Solutions days. We actually just expanded to like a whole second building where there's like a whole conference room that is going to become a training center for the techs to be able to go and do those trainings and get those trainings in a learning environment, not just standing in the middle of the shop and everybody stopped what they're doing to walk around, stand around a particular like person doing it kind of setting. So I couldn't agree more. So we did have a question from Daniel Vega. Sorry, I keep making Jen having to because she's not centered in her script. Says, what to do when you have great sales, but all of a sudden your sales go down? How do you go back up? You ride the wave, right?
No. Well, Daniel, I don't know. Well, first you got to diagnose the problem, right? Why did your sales go down? Is it market saturation? Is it, the quality of the product?
Time of the year.
Year. Is it a great product or a crappy product? And now that it's out in the market, do people not like it? Is it broken? It could be any number of factors. So I think you have to diagnose it first before you fix it.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, there is tons of things. And also just like with look, numbers don't lie, right? I full-heartedly believe that. I've lived it, experienced it, but how you slice those numbers can very much tell two different pictures, right? This is like the same as we're comparing December to January. Well, depending on what retail we're in, what situation we're in, December might be, when you make most of your money. November and December, maybe a little bit of October, versus January when it's like there is no Christmas rush, there is no holiday rush. And you're left like, wow, like where did all the money go? And that hopefully is only in your first year, maybe 2 years that as you start to build that data from the month-to-month data over the course of a year to 2 years to 3 years, you'll start to see like that it's not necessarily gone down. It's just part of the ebbs and flows of how the industry that you're in is. So how do you get it to go back up? Well, I mean, there's lots of ways, right? There's add to the marketing. There's plenty of examples that I can think of off the top of my head where there was people who rested their marketing during the illness, right? They were like, well, we have tons of business coming our way anyway, so it's fine. We don't have to do any extra marketing or anything like that. And there's companies that where it's like, yeah, cool, great. I'm glad that my competition is sitting around not marketing. I'm going to use this time to keep keep my potential customers and my customers with me at top of mind for when they do need things, even though things might already be good, if not great, to a fault where we saw a lot of businesses like literally sell out of everything, and it's like, well, we have nothing, we have nothing here, but. I mean, to me, that's a marketing opportunity too. Come check out our bear shelves, right? Like this is how good this is how things are going, but we're going to work on it. It becomes a message sticking point, right? So and there was a few companies that I saw do similar type things where they talked to like, hey, look, yeah, the inventory thing, the whole chip shortage thing, the whole supply chain thing, very real. We're dealing with it, but here's how we're going to make it better. A better experience for you. So if we don't have what you need, then we're going to find a way to go get it. And in this case, it's a car company, a car dealership, right? So it's like coming out and being forthright is more of a marketing opportunity to me than sitting back and being like, well, we sold out of cars, we sold out of the RVs, we sold out of this and that. Yeah, we're doing fine. We're not even going to bother making sure that people have us at top of mind for when things do get better.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way, right? And the other way, you can leverage sales, right? So if the supply chain thing isn't on your end of it, right? It's not part of the problem that you're running into. To me, running sales, I would also see like what can you do about doing local stuff, depending on what kind of business you run. Like even though there wasn't maybe a ton of indoor events over the course of the last 2 years, there's still plenty of outdoor events that you could like go and sponsor one of those. Like show up with a tent and a booth for one of those. Going deeper. Here you go. Go deeper into your analytics that you have, right? Your customer database as far as who are the customers, what are they buying, what did they buy before, when's the last time they bought from me, how can I structure that message so that I could reach them again and potentially get them to come back. Also look at what's your checkout rate, the total, right? When people check out with you, how much is they at? Like if we're talking like, oh, well, people check out, it's say $8.50 to $9 is what the average checkout rate is. Well, how do we get that to $10? How do we get that to $10.50? How do we get that to $12? It's easier to keep a customer that you have and get them to buy more because they trust, as we talked before about trust and relationships. It's easier to keep them and get them to spend another $1, $2, $3. And we've seen it a lot through the illness here, especially Chipotle is one of those guilty parties where they're like, yeah, we don't really have any supply chain issues. We're actually good, but we keep raising the prices anyway because people are just used to paying higher prices. But being able to inch that up enables you to fix some of that problem, right? And also maybe fixing your profit margin on certain items, right? Making sure that you're also injecting product into those checkouts that have high profit margin. Kind of like when you go to checkout at a grocery store and there's candy right there. Why is the candy there? High profit margin item. It's right there to boost it.
When you've got a high profit margin, this is what we did as well. Always have a look at those fast moving or the popular with a high profit margin, and put those prices up. And it's really hard because we don't know what Daniel's business is. But, if you're selling something all day, every day, and it's got a good profit margin and it's $9, just making it, putting it up to $10, if you're moving a lot of it, can actually add a lot of extra revenue. So I'm finding it difficult because I don't know what the business is, but knowing what those key drivers are, putting up prices, profit margins, increasing your basket price, they're all really good tips.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's all those little things, right? I mean that's one of the things where we would sell these commodity items that are expensive, they're heavy, like brake drums that go on big rig trucks, right? They weigh like up to like 100 pounds. You can't get, because they're so commoditized, you couldn't get a lot of money for them. So the profit margin like might only be like $10. So it's like we're buying it at $64. The most we could sell it for is like 72 to 74. And the problem is they take up a lot of space. You only get like 16 or 20 of them on a pallet, and there's only so many pallets you can put around in a place. So you run into this problem where it's like, okay, we need to sell these other things and mark these other things up to be able to boost that. So like the butt connectors, where it's like, I don't know, $2 for a bag of 100 of them, right? Well, if we make it $3, is anyone going to notice? If we make it $4, is really, I mean, it's, we're talking about such a small jump in price comparatively speaking, but it's not something that people are going to go and notice. So I think, from marketing, sales, going deeper into your analytics of what the people, like the segments of people that you have and what they buy, and what you could also market to them after they've bought that, depending on what software you're using. There's so many, as Sam said, there's so many like catches to that, but just getting in that thought process of like, what can I do to get that customer back to buy again, right? What's my return rate on customers coming in and spending again? Because if that's not high enough, you're eventually going to run out of customers. And that's a problem too, right? There's only so many people in so many markets and industries and niches that are going to go and continue to buy, and that's why you see like these companies. I just redid a video on my channel for the Lark water bottle. It's $100 self-cleaning water bottle. Well, you buy $100 water bottle once, right? So now they have the straw version where it has a built-in filter. So instead of like cleaning the water with the light, like a UV light, it's cleaning the water with the filter. So every 2 months you need another filter, right? So all of a sudden it's like it becomes that filter business, like the water, like the Brita water pitcher business, where it's like, okay, they also have a pitcher too. So it's like every 2 months, 3 months, they're buying another filter, and you start to create that recurring revenue because there's only so many self-cleaning water bottles that people could have in their closet.
True.
So looking in those directions too. What other services, right? Add service to your business. That'll help it go up as well. Install the things that you sell. I mean, there's just so many different ways to bundle things in to make that happen for you. So yeah, but start with the customers that know, like, and trust you out of the gate. Those are the easiest ones to convert.
Absolutely.
For that. Oh man. So do we want to talk about Elon Musk? Or do we want to talk about what was the other one? Disney I had? There was a Disney article.
I don't know. I don't know that there's a lot to talk about with the Disney article.
Okay. Let's talk about the oopsie that Elon Musk's team had. You're having a bad day when like 80% of your business model literally falls out of the sky, right? and implodes. And I don't mean to laugh because I feel bad. Like that sucks. Because somebody probably, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody loses a job over that, right? So the Elon Musk, and I'm waiting for the article to load here for me because it's taking a while. But anyway, the geomagnetic storms that come from the sun, people were worried about that here on planet Earth, when really technically it's still planet Earth, but worried about it in space, right? With all the satellites, the thousands of satellites that surround our Earth, our rock. And in this case, there was a big geomagnetic storm that happened, I guess it was last week or late last week, that caused 40 of the 49 Starlink satellites that Elon Musk's team from SpaceX have put up into space to malfunction and fall back down to Earth. A very expensive proposition to have to deal with. And so I thought it was an interesting article. I can't find the article right now. I don't know, maybe CNBC took it down
No. It's still there.
No, it's up. It's still
I've got
up.
it up. Yeah, I'm having a look. What's interesting though is that we're in this apparently this 11-year solar cycle, and this is only kind of the beginning, and the solar maximum they're calling it when it's going to get really bad isn't until 2025. So what's their plan now? That's what I want to know. What's their plan now?
That's not good. They're going to make tougher satellites.
There you go. Elon Musk knows that they need to make more satellites. So
tougher
yeah,
I mean that industry. You know, Thor, my husband, works in the aerospace industry and is involved in satellite systems and simulations and things. So it is a big deal to lose one satellite, but to lose that, I mean, Elon has bigger pockets than most in the industry, but still, I mean, that's catastrophic.
Yeah.
That it is. I finally looks like I can share my screen because I was able to get it.
Yeah.
Nearly a full launch's worth of companies.
Oop, Joe, you're dropping out again.
Oh,
we might need to unshare.
Solar
blast. Oh no.
Oh no,
it must be a solar storm. Is that better now?
Yeah, you're back.
You're back.
You are okay. Back.
Well, I'm wondering, did it say what the impact would be on like Starlink services? I know having a home in the mountains, a lot of us in the middle of nowhere on waiting lists for Starlink.
I was wondering that too. And I don't think I mean, the first article I saw talked about 40 of the 49 satellites.
That's a big hit. That's a big hit.
Yeah, that's
massive.
A lot of coverage gone. Yeah.
A lot of coverage is gone there. So yeah. So I can't imagine that it is working or it works for most. And if it is, it's probably as spotty as anything.
I bet he's gonna be buying up some smaller satellite companies soon because it takes a while to build a satellite. He's gonna probably snatch up some smaller players.
You know,
that's probably good news for them, right?
Good news for them, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, ring the cha-ching bell for them.
Yeah.
So I actually have a friend in the aerospace industry as well, and I should have reached out to her for comment on this because she wanted to be an astronaut, but unfortunately, due to medical reasons, was not able to do it. But she still got to work for I want to say NASA. Sending satellites up into space and things of that nature. So yeah, I will have to reach out to her and see what her take on that is as well. But yeah, so when things go wrong, this is the kind of thing where it's like, how did nobody know this? Like, it's not like geomagnetic storms are new.
No, they knew it was going to happen. They knew it was going to happen. So
nobody's a bigger gambler than Elon Musk, though. Like, I mean, you can't be a visionary and not take a lot of risks. I mean, that's
100% correct. Yeah.
He knew the risk.
It certainly certainly was a risk that has been taken, and now they gotta lick their wounds and figure out what's next, right? And it just goes to show you, like, nobody's perfect, right? It doesn't matter how much money, how big your company is. In fact, I was just talking with somebody who I was potentially going to be working with. They actually were like, well, I know you work with business owners, but I work within a big health insurance company, and I really would love your help to be able to help climb that corporate ladder and solve some of the problems that we have within the company. Because even though they're like one of the biggest, it doesn't matter. They still run into those kinds of problems.
Oh, yeah, maybe even more so because they're not as agile and they just get caught into doing things the same old way. Lots of paperwork, lots of bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the problems are bigger. Because they're not as agile, they're bigger and they grow faster. And when you're a little bit slow to do something with those problems, they can turn into huge problems.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why I know you two beat me up about the idea of calling customer service, but there's a reason why. The reason isn't always just self-serving. The reason is because I'm genuinely curious about the inner workings of those companies, and like, how does something like, a company, you order one thing and they ship something different because they like swap the order. How do they not have an easier way of dealing with that than literally me wasting about 2 hours of my life between driving back and forth to a store that they said, oh, we can't do anything with that. You got to call the .com, site in order to get service on that. Right. And it's like, well, but you guys are the same people. I know it's, online and brick and mortar might not be the same, even though they're the same. And that's why you always got to check online for the price, because you could be at the Target. I'll tell you, the price on Target.com is not going to be the price in the store, but they will price match it for you if you want that kind of service, okay. Right? So that's just something to know, right? I bought a mixer or something like that, and I was like, but it's like $120 in the store, but it's $100 on Target.com. I'm like, so are you going to price match your own site, or what are we doing here? And they're like, oh yeah, we'll do it. But you got to go over there to customer service. Of course you, of course.
And when you go to customer service, they're like, check it out. Look who's coming. It's Joe Pardo.
Exactly.
First name basis at all customer service.
Well, I want to know do you guys think that Elon Musk cried? I feel like he.
Can you give me an idea, Jen? Like, what is the rough kind of cost of a satellite? Because I actually have no. I don't understand kind of like how big a deal this is. Like, I guess it's big, but I don't understand.
I don't know. Millions of. I would say 30 million. 100 million.
A typical
30.
Weather satellite carries a price tag of $290 million. A spy satellite might cost an additional $100 million. So a spy satellite might be almost $400 million. Obviously, Starlink's not that big. They're smaller satellites, but the technology on them, lost 40 Starlink satellites, are reportedly worth as much as $20 million all at once. So
that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money just overnight to lose, isn't it?
Somebody be with Elon, please.
And to not just lose that, but to know that you've got to find that again to get them back up there.
I mean, that's got to represent like just years and years of lost time and effort. Oh, somebody, please be.
I don't think he didn't cry. He didn't cry.
Oh, I think he cried.
I don't think so. So it's $20 million total, because each one is between $250,000 and $500,000.
Yeah, once it's made. But what about all the man hours that were paid? And that represents a much bigger loss than 20 million. The supporting those satellites, maintaining those satellites. Oh, it's expensive.
So it said, meanwhile, SpaceX disclosed in 2020 that each Falcon 9 launch costs around $30 million. So in total, this abortive operation that could have cost SpaceX around $50 million.
We've got an answer in the chat here.
He said he cried.
He cried.
Told you he cried? Of course, he's human.
Yeah.
He's human. Of course he cried. I knew
He's just lost 80% of his satellites. Yeah.
I didn't check his Twitter to find out. That I guess he did cry, and thank you.
Big old cry, big ugly cry, a big ugly cry.
What, did he wipe his tears with the cash that he has?
No, he doesn't have any left. No, he's using Kleenex.
Oh, please.
To wipe his tears with cash.
Please, $20 million is nothing. How much he sold in stock? How many billions of dollars did he sell in stocks over the summer?
I don't know.
A lot. It was a lot. He cashed out a bunch.
He's fine. I know he's going to be fine, but that is
but it would still hurt.
It's a huge
it doesn't matter how rich you are. You don't want to hand over $20 million just for no reason.
And it was definitely, I mean, and he's got to pay for all those launches again. Those launches are a big deal. It is really expensive to launch.
Well, that was more expensive. The launch was apparently more expensive than the actual satellite costs.
Yeah. And also, there's going to be like a time frame here that he can't get back. You can't just suddenly get 40 satellites today and get them back up there tomorrow. Like, this is like it's not just a money thing, it's a time thing.
It is a time thing. And now, okay, so now we talked about him like maybe snatching up the smaller players, but now I'm thinking those smaller players maybe like see the opportunity to catch up and be more competitive because their satellites haven't, spontaneously combusted in space. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the era.
Well, I think, so here's the bigger question, right? The bigger question is there is a bigger question, because you can't just even though you could spend money and like in theory 6 months, a year, get those 40 satellites back up. What are you going to do to fix the actual problem? Because the problem isn't going away, as we talked about earlier, right?
Meet Tom Cruise.
It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse as these years go by. And clearly, if the satellites they have were not good enough to be able to withstand what is happening now, it sure as heck ain't going to be good enough when it comes.
Totally.
What if he just throws in the towel? He's like, you know what? We don't need these satellites.
I don't think
we
so.
do need them. I mean, there's a lot of space trash out there now because of these broken satellites.
There is. That is
there are a lot of
huge thing.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. Do we need more space trash? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There was a great video from Kirkazar in a nutshell on YouTube that talked about this week, talking about what if the moon, magic space things happen, and the moon slowed down, and instead of moving away from the Earth, it actually started coming towards the Earth. And it would only take like a year. But the reason that you were talking, the space trash thing, is the moon actually wouldn't hit the Earth. It would actually end up breaking up before it hit the Earth, and then turn into basically a Saturn ring around the Earth, which is effectively what we're trying to accomplish with all the space junk that we just leave out there. And it doesn't take much for like one screw, like one to hit one, and then a screw to go unmapped in the grand scheme of things, and then cause all kinds of damage. If you haven't seen, what was that movie with George Clooney and I can't think of her name, Julia Roberts. It was a space movie. They were in space.
I don't know.
Oh, I can't think of the movie. It was pretty good, but it kind of talked about that, where it's like one collision happens to another collision, and we've had stuff like this happen not that long ago, where some space junk almost hit. I think it was a Chinese satellite or something to that effect. Gravity. There you go. Nick G is in the house. Good to see. Good to see you.
And what were the wolves gonna do? We don't have a moon. What are they gonna howl at? This is bigger than just the Earth.
Sandra Bullock, that was it. It wasn't Julia Roberts. I'm sorry. I apologize. Rafi, it's good to see you in the chat as well. And I apologize. I don't know, how do you pronounce that? It's
well, I wasn't sure. It's Lasala, and I don't know if I'm saying that.
Wait. Yeah. It's Lasala.
Lasala. Well, thank you so much for being here with us, Lasala. And Nick says day is over. That is awesome to hear. Glad you're joining us. The tides is. I mean, it would really mess up the world.
Big time.
It's a depressing video.
Well, let's not talk about that then.
I'm gonna have a nightmare tonight. It is guaranteed.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, we got it right. That's awesome. That's so good.
And we still figure out if the moon really is made of cheese.
Yeah, right.
I like to think on the positive side of things.
Yeah.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps up this week's Business Geek. So we didn't talk about two things. We didn't talk about our sponsor. So we do have something else to talk about. But our sponsor, yourpodcastconcierge.com. Leon does a phenomenal job. In fact, I was just talking to him a little earlier about my conundrum that we were talking about before we started, Sam and Jen. And it's so great to have such a wonderful person to not only to have that business relationship with, but a friend, build a friendship with. You should totally go check out your podcastconcierge.com. If you want to get your podcast off the ground and not have to do the editing, not have to worry about the posting and all that stuff, Leon and his team take care of it all. And thank you so much, Leon, for doing that for us here.
They're the pod guys. I love
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And and hopefully with these files of this new system, don't let my internet problems be the problem. Like that was separate from the problems I think we've had mostly here on this platform. Anyway, so last week we talked privately about moving this show to being every 2 weeks instead of every week. So yeah, I know it's like
we're both like,
Did you not like that? I know it was it was my idea. It was my suggestion. And I will be honest, it was more difficult than I was predicting to have an additional committed slot on my calendar. I put a lot of emphasis in my life on time freedom and having a lot of control over my schedule. But I do have some things that are set on my schedule a week that are business related, and I don't mind them. But adding that extra thing, it just ended up being like it was a little too much. It was a little too much to have like something just sitting on the calendar in a movable thing. I don't know if you felt that way, Sam. Maybe it's just me. That's why I was like, if we could just go every other week.
Well, there was a reason I answered you so very, very quickly when you put that out there.
Good. So we tried it. We missed a week and we came back, and I have to say it felt so much better. Like for me, I think that's the space I needed to make this work.
Mm-hmm. And I'm on vacation next week, so I was all for it.
Yeah.
Which was last week for you, right? Or this upcoming week?
No, I leave in 2 days.
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so she doesn't miss a Business Geeks because...
Exactly. I worked it all out.
So be honest, Joe, you didn't want to go to every other week? Did we?
No, but... So it's funny. I scheduled 2 separate live streams for this. Well, one not specifically for the 4 o'clock time slot, but for like 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock on the same day, to try to fill in that gap so I could get this FaceTime, with my audience and all that. And it's kind of hard it is hard to fit this stuff in, especially with 2 kids, when you just don't know what literally the next minute is going to bring.
Yeah.
And that's why, so for me, I love the idea of still like bringing something every week to this channel, but I would miss having both of you regardless. But both of my guests canceled last second or somewhat in the last quote unquote last second for emergencies that they had. So it was like, oh, I got these live streams and I had to like cancel them. And then it's like, I had other things going on. I said at the top of the show, having lost a couple of close people to me, it's been kind of tough, and just a lot of other business balancing things going on and decisions being made and all that. And then trying to stay on the content wheel of how do I keep producing Shark Tank pitches and these other videos. And now even, I don't know if either of you have seen, we did a couple of reviews of Shark Tank products with the kids and Melissa. So that's been a lot of fun to do. We're batch recording them so we could like get together, get the kids and get them, all dressed up or whatever, and shoot them and then get on with their lives. And then I just edit and put them out over time. But yeah, so there's a lot of things like that that's just happening behind the scenes, and trying to make the live stream time is tough too as well for me. But I do love being here. I love being a part of the Business Geeks and having both of you here and getting to share you with my audience as well. On top of that is awesome.
Yeah, it's so fun. You have a great audience. Yes. Everybody
Thank you for inviting us.
And yeah, we are, always up for a little Super Joe Pardo party. So
well, it's not just me. It's not just about me. It's about both. It's about all 3 of us, and that's what it would be if that's what it would be. That's what it was going. The plan was out of the gate back when we started this whole thing, 2 years now ago, over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So so it's been. We got you do it in the comments saying world's biggest troll. I'm not friendly.
Oh, that's the best when people are just so honest.
Yeah. I'll tell you. It's so weird getting these comments. I get them at like 2:00 in the morning, telling me that I'm a clown, and it's from a person. I assume a person, not a bot, who has no videos on their channel, and their name is Shrooms, and it's like, I'm the clown. I'm the one finding my video at 2:00. I mean, I have a global audience, and it's not 2:00 everywhere in the morning. But it's just a weird. The internet's a weird place, That somebody named Shrooms.
And it's the place you're supposed to be. So I hope you're enjoying it.
Yeah,
we're talking about truth. There's some more truth.
the harsh truth.
Well, if you want the harsh truth, Jen will give it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll work on with love.
With love.
Absolutely. I don't know if you want to answer this real quick question here. What's your favorite Shark Tank pitch? Do either of you have a favorite Shark Tank pitch?
I do not.
It's hard to pick one.
The funnest one was the little girl with the elephant spoon.
I just did that one.
The little Hawaiian girl.
I did.
That's got
the baby
spoon.
tune.
Yeah.
The 10-year-old. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
She's just
that one
like
was fun.
the most cutest, smartest little entrepreneur that's only 10 years old. I can't wait to see where she goes.
The one I remember that's older is he was a farmer, and he made these tents to go over the base of like crop
tent TP tree tent TP or
maybe
I remember
those
ones.
It was made for farmers, like to collect rainwater and like to lower like the costs, I think of watering crops and things. And he was so memorable because he was so genuine and came and created it to help other people, other farmers that were struggling, if I remember correctly. So he got a little teary-eyed, and like he just had everybody, loving him at the end. I don't remember the deal, but I remember him.
So I used to say this when I would do my podcast and I was interviewing lots and lots of people on the show of all different backgrounds. People would ask like, so what's your favorite episode? And now that I'm interviewing a lot more and more of these people that have been on Shark Tank, I feel kind of guilty picking just one because because I have more of a personal hands-on relationship with these people. So it's really it's really, am I getting chopped up? Because Otto,
we're all showing. For me, we're all showing up.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, you guys are showing up for me. I'm not sure
on Facebook. It's showing up.
So it's really hard for me to just pick one and be the one that is the most memorable. If you had to really pin me down, I would say one of the most memorable ones was the guy with the guitar player. So like you learn to play the guitar by pressing the buttons.
Mm-hmm.
I recently did that one, or did I do it recently? I think I did it somewhat recently ago. I can't remember what is the name of that product. Oh God, I can't think of it. But it's like a plastic thing. And then as you learn, you take away pieces of the plastic device, and then you're actually putting your fingers on the strings versus playing on the buttons. But it's training you to know where the fingers go on the guitar. Yeah, I loved his attitude and it was just really, really, really good. But I do like I love all the pitches are a lot of fun. Mine was Bombas. Okay, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I got to do that one still. That's a biggie. That's a landmark one for the show. Very much. And the Scrub Daddy one was great as well.
Oh, Scrub Daddy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good ones
out there.
There's
so many, exactly. And all of them are good for different reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
They really are. It's hard. It's hard just to really pick one.
Yeah. And I think that's the sign of a really good show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really
ding ding.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both for being here today. We will be back. I don't know. I should have looked at the date before on the February 24th at 4 p.m. Eastern, Friday, Australian. Is it still Eastern Daylight Time there?
We're still Eastern Daylight, 8 a.m.
8 a.m. Friday, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. For Jennifer Crawford of Sparent.co and Samantha Riley of SamanthaRiley.global, I'm Super Joe Pardo of SuperJoePardo.com. We appreciate you being here today, and we will see you in 2 weeks. I'll probably do a live stream before that. Anyway, take care, everyone.